It's the final race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open Championship, the second meeting of the season, coming to you from the Ardennes Circuit de SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS, where we have a very unusual situation developing here. We've been told that the start will be taken behind the safety car because of the rain conditions, and yet everybody out there is on slick tyres, and they've been told that they cannot come into pit lane to change tyres until the safety car has come in. We're now getting a message that the start has been delayed, and I'm assuming, George, that race control is now going to mandate that everyone starts on the wet tyres.
You would have thought so. Having just witnessed the GT Cup Europe race, where there was a lot of debate, I think, as far as what we were seeing in terms of strategy out on track over the situation involving wet and dry tyres, we saw the rain progressively fall. It is still falling now, so you would anticipate the wet tyres being utilised. But as you can see, slick tyres at the moment on all the cars. You can see there Jan Koller looking to come back, obviously, and bounce back after the difficulties of his weekend. Has, of course, got Roman Stanek in his corner this season. But Victor Dobransky with a huge chance to get things rolling off the very front end of the grid, and Alco Feldman as well.
Wet tyres are mandatory when starting behind the safety car due to weather conditions, is the message from race control. That is why the start is delayed. And well, I'm a bit surprised everybody didn't do that as soon as they saw that the start would be taken behind the safety car. Let's look back on what's happened so far. Rui Hengye started the first race from pole position for the second time this season, as he did in Portimao. He had the whole shot into La Source, closely followed by S.A. Carrasquillo, Everett Stack and Javier Herrera battling for the podium places. On the safety car restart, though, it was S.A. Carrasquillo locking both fronts going into the bus stop chicane. That opened up the floodgates. Then contact with the front wing of Everett Stack's car not only broke Stack's wing, but gave Carrasquillo a puncture. That allowed Javier Herrera to go through into the podium places, taking his first in the Euroformula Open Championship, but it was Rui Hengye on top in race one. Then it was Lorenzo Castillo taking a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start from pole position in race two. Rui Hengye making his way from 8th on the grid. Otherwise, a relatively clean start. We had Rui Hengye making his way up the order, past the DriveX cars, his teammates as well, and his rivals from BVM. The wet tyres were aboard. It was a wet start this morning, and that meant several drivers struggled with grip conditions. Carrasquillo and De La Torre going off, but it was Rui Hengye who made his way up from 8th to take his 4th victory of the season in only 5 races. So, George, what I'm seeing here is that everybody's been told to put the wet tyres on, but nobody is moving at all out there. We'll go through that in a second. It's Victor Dobransky starting on reverse grid pole position ahead of Alco Feldman, BVM Racing's newest driver in their 4th car. Diego De La Torre lines up alongside Javier Herrera, 2 podium finishes for the youngest driver on the grid so far this weekend. They line up on the 2nd row. Jan Koller, one of the rookie class drivers, lines up ahead of Everett Stack on the 3rd row of the grid. 2 Motorpark drivers there, followed by S.A. Carrasquillo and Rui Hengye, your front row drivers from race 1. Rui Hengye going for a 3rd victory in as many races this weekend. Filippo Fiorentino for DriveX starts alongside Alessandro Familaro. Very difficult race 2 for the Venezuelan, ahead of Divi Nandan and Gino Trapper in the 2nd of the DriveX cars that joins us for this weekend. And then at the back of the grid, Lorenzo Castillo and Aaron Ferrazzano for Neri Autosport in his home race. And finally, George, the wet tyres have arrived on the grid, and we're going to have a tyre change now for all 14 cars.
Yep, I caught initially some of the wheel guns coming out from DriveX, incidentally, and then, of course, turning to my right, the trolleys all came bearing down as the mechanics dispersed onto the grid. The good news is that this is the final race of the day, so it's not as if we have to keep necessarily to a timetable for the next race that's coming up afterwards, if that's the one saving grace in all of this.
Yeah. Do we have a timetable we have to keep to in order of
end of day?
End of day, like when
curfew.
We're not allowed to have engines running or anything like that. I don't think we are. What we're going to see here now, George, though, is it's a bit like, you know, Le Mans, where they have the pit stop challenge, see who can do it the quickest.
Yeah.
And we've got a little bit of that going on here. Which crew can do it the fastest?
Yeah, I don't think we've got an award for that.
Well, I think we should.
Yeah,
we should after today.
maybe we should, yeah. It's kind of been the story, hasn't it, of today, pit stops. We saw a lot of it as well in our previous race.
Yeah, this morning we had 3 guys coming in for wet tyres, for slick tyres,
And it didn't necessarily work. But I think the problem was it was the drivers that obviously had nothing to lose or, you know, and everything
coming
to
in
gain.
Anyway with broken front wings or anything like that.
Nothing to lose, everything to gain, pretty much at that point. So they gambled and essentially looked, well, we'll try something different. You know, see if we can inspire a bit of grip, a little bit of momentum. Of course, it didn't necessarily work, but different kettle of fish now. But looking at the front end of the grid, we've got Victor Dobransky and Alco Feldman, so 2 rookie drivers will be starting on the front row. Diego de la Torre, he's got a fantastic opportunity here, just getting confirmation from the race director. Start behind the safety car. That is the message, everybody. So we will have essentially a rolling start.
Hence the change to the wet tyres. Hopefully that's all good aboard Herrera's cart there. Slightly unwieldy wheel gun.
Headline news. Obviously, is Rui Hengier's potential opportunity to blanket the weekend.
Yes, so this is quite an extraordinary one. Only 3 drivers have won all 3 races in one weekend since the 3-race format was adopted in 2021.
Yeah, and in fact, it was 2 drivers that have actually done it at Spa during that period when the format was amended, incidentally, because Louis Foster actually managed to do it in 2021, and it was also Oliver Goethe the following year who did exactly the same thing here at Spa 2. But if you want to extend that, as in blanketing the weekend from pole to victories, because of course we had the old system, which was 2 qualifying sessions with 2 races, sort of your typical format that you would expect to see over a typical race weekend. Sandy Stuvik back in 2014, Felipe Drugovich, who still to this day holds the all-time wins record at 14. And aside from that, Marino Sato back in 2019, who also delivered Team Motor Park's first ever win at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS in 2019, going from pole to victory. And then obviously for the successive qualifying session and the successive race as well. And obviously alluded to Louis Foster, who a lot of you will know for his accomplishments overseas as well. And Oliver Goethe, who's currently really making quite an impression in F2 as well.
Apologies, Louis Foster. Because I had, for some reason, omitted that in my note-taking. So it is 4 drivers who have done...
Glad to be of service, Chris.
Yes. The other one there, of course, was Yifei Ye, who has done it 3 times in Budapest, Red Bull Ring. And then in the rare occasion, we had 4 races in one weekend in Barcelona during the COVID-affected season in 2020. That was his championship-winning campaign. He did that at all 3 of those races, but still a very elite group that Rui Hengier could join here today. I seem to remember Noel Leon coming very, very close in 2023 in Red Bull Ring as well. I think he had first, and then second by not much at all.
Well, he had a win as well here at Spa in Race 1 a couple of years ago. Yifei also taking a victory in the first campaign where we held the 3-race format. And, of course, that was race 1. Louis Foster won race 2. Lucas Dunner, incidentally, some of you might remember him from the International GT Open in recent seasons, of course. He also marking an appearance with a victory in race 3 that same weekend in 2020. But, yeah, amazing. We've had some phenomenal drivers come through the realms of the Euroformula Open Championship in the past. Yifei's record of most poles in a season still stands at 12. Of course, Felipe Drugovich, I mentioned his most number of wins. He still holds that record, 14 wins in a season back in 2018, en route to winning the championship. Of course, went on to do great things in Formula 2, and since then becoming a reserve driver, obviously working with Aston Martin, etc. Most podiums in a season. Brad Benavides, 19 from 2024 as the safety car is now deployed, Chris, and they are rolling down towards La Source.
So the clock starts ticking now, and with this safety car start, I imagine we will once again go to the 30-minute time limit rather than the 13-lap race distance. We've been 1 lap shy in the first 2 races owing to either wet weather or safety car interventions, but the race is now underway. Hopefully it will only be the 1 lap behind the safety car. Clearly everybody felt like they could do the start on slick tyres, so grip shouldn't be at too much of a premium when they do get going. In fact, you can see a bit of a dry line forming in some parts of the racetrack, but an opportunity for Victor Dobransky to get some tyre temperature. Dobransky, the 19-year-old from Krakow, in his first full season at this level of competition, having raced in Spanish F4 for the last couple of years. Spanish resident now, after competing in that Spanish championship. Timo Rumpfkarl there on the right-hand side. We can see facing away from the camera, a bit camera shy there, Timo, the boss of Team Motorpark. He's had a very good day with his Oschersleben-based team winning the International GT Open race a couple of hours ago, the 500 kilometers at Spa.
Just made history as well with Team Motorpark becoming the first team to take 2 Spa 500 race wins and back-to-back as well, which is sensational. And with an X4 Euroformula racing driver once again in back-to-back years, in Christian Mansell, following suit from Levente Reves.
Yes, very true there. So the pathway is very clear over at Team Motorpark as the drivers make their way around Podium. No spray, even these quicker sections of the racetrack, so should be no issues with visibility or anything like that. The wiper's still on the pace car though, so maybe there is still an element of drizzle.
Still coming down.
Yeah.
Just not quite as heavy, but it is coming down. Hopefully that means it will give an opportunity for the track to form a drier line.
Yes.
We would hope so.
Hopefully an opportunity for Alco Feldman to make up for 2 difficult races so far. It was a stall in race 1 for him on his debut. Joins from this weekend in BVM's expanded 4-car effort as of this weekend. And then a mechanical issue. We never got an answer on what the issue was for Alco Feldman, but there was smoke coming out of his car after contact at the curve at Paul Frere, and he did a very quick exit from the car. So it was a DNF for him this morning. The 17-year-old Brazilian, who is currently racing in Eurocup with MP Motorsport. But hopefully we will see him out in the Euroformula Open Championship even more, as we haven't had confirmation that the safety car is going to be coming in this lap, and in fact the lights are still on the safety car. So I think we're going to get a second lap here. So it will be Dobransky from Feldman and Della Torre, whose podium run came to an end this morning after he had a very difficult race and some contact. And now cars are coming into pit lane, George, and I think all of these guys are going to end up with penalties, because we had the message saying you cannot come into pits to change tyres until the safety car has come in, but 2 of them have opted to do so. One of them is Rui Hengye.
Yeah.
So that's the championship leader, presumably going for slick tyres, but I can only assume they're going to get a penalty. I think the other car was Alessandro Famolaro. Yes, it was, and it is slick tyres from the BVM squad. But if you were going to do... I can only assume they've left it up to the driver, but surely the teams are aware that the message has been clear from race control. You cannot come in until the safety car has come in. You cannot pit under a safety car.
I mean, it depends on the severity of the penalty as well that they are given, but I'm wondering if Rui Hengye feels that his pace is quick enough to perhaps negate a penalty, and they're also perhaps hoping that they can get the jump on everyone else with the fresh tyres.
Surely they're going to have to come down on them so hard, because of course they're going to join the safety car queue now and carve up this field.
Yeah, if it does dry up at a rate that it should, if that drying line does prove. We're not seeing a fully fledged drying line, I will say that, because I'm looking out on the pit straight, and you know, it's not looking. There's not really any instance of a dry line there, so far too early to tell at the minute, but still, you know, a huge advantage if it does dry up.
Yeah, well, will they take a penalty? Because of course they've even got this lap to build tyre temperature as well, because they're going to be going fast to catch the safety car queue.
Correct.
The safety cars are going to be coming in this lap. We've now had confirmation. So they're going to be at the back of this train with warmed up, slick tyres. If I were race control, I would pretty much just chuck them out of the race.
Well, It's certainly a very compelling situation, and they will be tying up with Aaron Ferrazzano very, very shortly. Rui Hengye, of course, twice over, a race winner, started on pole position, coming into race 1, is the only driver who's actually managed to take pole in qualifying so far this campaign, having taken pole at Portimao, pole at Spa now as well. Be hoping you can carry this route onwards here once again, looking for a 3rd race win. Is this slick tire maneuver, if not punished by race control, the genius move in the making that could yet cement that 3rd successive race win? We'll have to wait and see.
Let's see how far behind they actually are, whether they do actually catch up to the safety car queue. At 43 seconds behind at the moment. Yes, these guys are crawling around at the moment, but what a bizarre day we're having in the Ardennes, George. We've had a pretty crazy GT Cup race. We've had some big offs and dramas in the GT Open race. It only makes sense we're going to round it off with a pretty bonkers Euroformula race as well. So Victor Dobransky, effectively a safety car restart here. So pressure's kind of off in terms of getting off the line nicely for the rookie driver. But lets the pace car go. And looking at the back of this queue to see where Rui Hengye and Alessandro Familaro are, I imagine they will just catch up to the back of the queue. They're not there just yet, but I don't think it will take them very long at all. And so Dobransky, wet tyres clad.
They're all coming into the pace as well.
Coming into the pit lane. So, right, this is legal though. So who's actually going to end up leading this race? It's Javier Herrera. So 11 laps to go, actually 23 minutes, let's say, because we're definitely going to go down to time in this one. So staying out, Javier Herrera, Jan Koller, Jesse Carrasquillo, Dibi Nandan, Gino Trapper, Lorenzo Castillo, Aaron Ferrazzano. Into the pits has come Dobransky, Feldman, Della Torre, Stagg, Fiorentino. They have done so legally. And
I've got some questions as well, Chris. 3 motor park cars making their way into the pits. Have they got the resources in order to get all those tyre changes done in straight away, as in simultaneously, or is it going to have to be done back to back?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here, we've got 2 people working each car there, or maybe even 3. So the resources are being split. Safety car procedure infringement under investigation. Cars 11 and 21.
Just as we expected.
Guess which those 2 they are, George? Rui Hengye and Alessandro Familaro, for anybody not familiar with the entry list.
Goodness me. Well, what a start to this race already. There's the confirmation on your screen, everybody. Safety car procedure infringement under investigation. Cars 11 and 21. And the promise of a potential 3rd race win could be put into question now for Rui Hengye, despite being on the dry tyres. Everyone else opting for the same. But it's Javier Herrera who leads the race right now. Jan Koller, of course, tutored by Roman Stanek at the moment. He of course, was there at Portimao. And Stanek now on his outlap. Della Torre has beaten Dobransky to the punch, so he's actually lost any advantage that pole position had given him. A car veering off wide as well, coming out of Pouon as now they come nose to tail. Nandan and Carrasquillo also amassed together at the moment.
I think that was Lorenzo Castillo went wide there through Pouon. He's the car behind Gino Trapper. The car that started on reverse grid pole this morning and then jumped the start. Got a 5-second time penalty for it. 2nd time this season we've seen that. It's Divi Nandan who did it in Portimao.
Thing is, if they get a penalty, I'm just questioning this now, because obviously I'm anticipating the top 6 all to come in to change onto slick tyres.
Potentially, or they might just stick with it, because as we saw this morning, it isn't necessarily the big gain that you think it is, because Alko Feldman beat Victor Dobransky out of the pit lane by 18 seconds, right? But he is still 36 seconds behind the race leader. Oh no, they're all coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to call into question why we started behind the safety car if everybody's this confident of starting on slick tyres. We saw even when the message was displayed, safety car start, nobody wanted the wet tyres. So Castillo is the only one who's continued on out there on the wet tyres.
And Chris, Rui Hengye, 0.8 of a second behind Castillo. And at the end of the day, I'd imagine this is going to be fairly rudimentary here right now. Here he is, tucked right in behind Castillo.
Backing out before they even get to Eau Rouge. He's got so much more speed than the Spaniard in front of him.
So watch this now as they come over the crest out of Eau Rouge and Radion.
It's going to be the straight. Easiest pass of Rui Hengye's life, I would have thought.
You'd think so on the slick tyre. Here they go, side by side on the way up through towards Les Combes. Rui Hengye bidding to take the lead of the race in what could lead to a 3rd successive win, and does so brilliantly. 10 laps to go.
Ferrazzano also stayed out on the wet tyre there, by the way, but Familaro's on the back of him. But there's no way they let Rui Hengye and Alessandro Familaro get away with this. There's absolutely no way.
It may not be a question of will they let him get away with it. It's the severity of the penalty as well, because in this situation, obviously they've cleared all those that stayed on the wet tyres that have just all of a sudden decided to come in and change. So advantage Rui Hengye, as we just see a little sideways moment there for, I believe, Jan. Oh no, that's Ferrazzano making his way around, obviously being pursued by Familaro. Of course, we're race winner in race 2 at Portimao, and looking to move his way back into the podium places. And through Pouon, able to take a tighter line with more grip, and he's into 3rd place.
Yeah, so again, very easy move there for Familaro. So Alco Feldman is 30 seconds behind the race leader, and the only car on slick tyres that's legal. So why don't we just call it a 30-second penalty and be done with it?
We'll wait and see. The thing is, Rui Hengye could yet gap, just like he has done already in sequential races. He's just on purple in the middle sector now, 61.8, and that differential, by the way, between them is nearly 4 seconds in that one sector alone.
Then the only thing you can do for them is just straight up disqualify or give them a 2.5-minute penalty, because the advantage they gain by breaking the rules, you can't just slap them with a 5-second penalty because the advantage was way too big.
Well, we've got team managers for car 2111 to report to race control immediately.
Shocker. So those are the cars under investigation.
So there's going to be a further discussion between the two of them. Castillo's just come into the pits, so no question that's going to be a move onto the slick tyres to take the wets off. So Rui Hengye now has an advantage of 9.1 seconds against Alessandro Familaro, who basically did exactly the same thing he did.
Yes, he did. Did Ferrazzano stay out on the...
No, he's just come in now.
He's just entered the pit lane there.
Yeah. Oh, swapper for Rui Hengye, coming over the crest there.
Well, yeah, you can't deny he's pushing, but it's...
Yeah. I think he's obviously expecting something. I think in returning, he's just trying to buffer as much as he can, I think, at this point.
The advantage you get is so massive. They need to invent a new penalty for this even. We get sideways again there, but yeah, Alco Feldman is now 36 seconds behind the race leader, and will now be in 3rd position, but for my money is the rightful leader of this race.
Well, we'll wait and see. I'm sure we'll get news from race control pretty soon.
What's the biggest stop-go penalty they can give, do you reckon? 20 seconds?
Probably something like that, I would imagine.
That'll cover it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. That might be the decision they take. It's hard to tell, naturally, without being a fly in the room as to what race control are discussing at the moment. So elsewhere, we have got some action, though. Diego Della Torre, in between two. We got Everett Stack, who's trying to get past as well. So he's got past Dobransky for P5, and now enter Della Torre round the outside and past Dobransky, and he takes 6th place.
Fastest lap of the race being done by Diego Della Torre, 2:19.1. That's 4 seconds off the lap record, so they are still struggling for grip out there. Yeah, he is now up into that 6th position, did we say? Ahead of Victor Dobransky, and now behind Everett Stack. Oh, he has a big swapper himself going through Pouon there. And that is Feldman. Yes, yeah. The number 4. So the number 8 car off the road, so that is the car that was in 3rd place. That surely has promoted Gino Trapper up to the podium places now. And then Everett Stack up to 4th, followed by Della Torre and Dobransky.
Yeah, so a chance for Stack, depending on how much he can gain in on Gennaro Trapper. It's going to be hard to do, though. 4.5 seconds as it stands. Rui Hengye just punched in the fastest lap of the race. This is the replay, reversing just off the edge of Pouon, but thankfully the right way, so he can rejoin safely.
Might be some horrible flat spots on those Pirelli slick tyres now. So this is your 3rd place car, Gino Trapper, for the DriveX squad. Tyres chirping away there as he turns into the bus stop chicane. So if we get hefty penalties for Rui Hengye and Alessandro Familaro, then you can consider Gino Trapper your effective race leader, because it's not only the benefit they got by stopping under the safety car, it's that extra lap of heat in the tyres that they were able to generate, because they were able to gain much more while everyone else was still getting their tyres up to temperature. It's a domino effect. That's why I'm calling for a harsh penalty here.
Well, if it's the 20-second stop-go like you were alluding to before, then even so, Rui Hengye would come out in front of Gennaro Trapper.
Chuck him out the race then.
It'll be a 47.1, because it's 47.1 gap to leader at the moment. So again, he will still retain the lead, which is why I question the severity. Well, you know, the severity of the penalty. It depends on what they issue, if they do issue anything at all. But we'll wait and see. I mean, they're investigating it right now. We don't know what's going to happen until the report leads to a decision with race control.
He is damn near 2 seconds quicker than anyone else on the racetrack at the moment. It's mighty impressive from Rui Hengye, don't get me wrong. But it's a big asterisk over everything we're seeing here at the moment. Oh, De La Torre really struggling to get it into Speaker's Corner. Sideways in that green-trimmed motor park car. See if Everett Stack can move his way up into third position. He's closing in on the DriveX driver, the Argentinian. Lots more momentum. In fact, was 3 seconds quicker on that previous lap and pounces on the inside into the Fagné chicane. So great move there from the American to take third position away from the race leader.
I tell you what, he did a fantastic job in closing the gap as well. Remember, that stood at over 4 seconds not too long ago. Not only did he eat away at said gap, manufacturing an overtake such as that coming through the Fagné chicane is spectacular. I mean, well done Everett Stack on that, and keen to land the Stack attack. And depending on what happens with the top two, decision stop and go for cars 21 and 11 for safety car infringement. So there we go.
That's going to do nothing, but sure.
But how long's the stop go?
Well, it doesn't say, does it? So it might just be stop and then go. I mean, you said it, George. Even if they did give a 20-second stop and go, it probably still wouldn't be sufficient, because they're 50 seconds ahead of the next two cars. Decision drive-through. No, okay. Well, that's okay. So hang on. That's not being shown as a correction. So if they'd been given a stop and go and a drive-through,
possibly.
That might actually change things, but...
No, it's a correction. Sorry.
Okay, right.
It's a correction.
So drive-through penalty for those two cars. That'll do even less, actually. So it looks like it's still going to be the third win for Rui Hengye, which is going to put a slight dampener on the achievement, I'm afraid. Because it'll be a fantastic moment, but... through somewhat slightly underhanded method of doing so.
Well, De La Torre up into fourth. He's overtaken Gennaro Trapper, who's now he's still the top rookie at the moment, ahead of Dobransky. The gap between those two currently stood at 1.1. But it's currently Rui Hengye. We've heard the decision made by the stewards. Drive-through penalty for car 21 and 11. We'll see whether it is taken this time, and it certainly is. So in comes Rui Hengye to serve the drive-through penalty that has been delivered by race control. So let's wait and see the stewards making their decision clear. And we now watch our current championship leader and twice-over race winner already this weekend come into the box.
Familaro will have to follow him in. Oh, Alco Feldman's come into pit lane as well, presumably with an issue after his spin.
Maybe a flat spot on the tyres, providing too much of a tricky run for him here at Spa.
Potentially. It's a very difficult debut weekend for Alco Feldman. He's shown, you know, some good speed at flashes of good ability throughout the weekend, but the racing gods have got other ideas for this weekend. So Familaro did not come in.
Not yet.
To do his penalty.
But Rui Hengye has come out just behind him.
Yes.
So there is going to be a potential tussle between these two. Regardless, I mean, Rui Hengye could probably just wait behind him because he knows that he still has to serve it. So he can minute the risk by just holding position and waiting for Familaro to make his decision. Obviously, he'll be moving through the pit lane, much like Rui Hengye did. Looks like, though, Rui Hengye is going to have a little look for the move coming down towards Rivage. No, not this time. Happy to wait in behind, and probably the sensible thing to do is they hook up Rivage this time around, and now through towards Jackie Expend. and then a move down towards Podium.
So it is just under 10 minutes left on the clock. We're 2/3 of the way through our race time, but only just now at half race distance, so we're definitely going down to time for this one. Rui Hengye continues to follow in the wheel tracks of Alessandro Famularo, knowing the Venezuelan is going to be bound for pit lane, just as he was a lap ago. Through Stavolo. And yeah, so Rui Hengye still with a 30-second advantage over the next car, despite that drive-through. I think there might need to be some reviewing of the procedures after this race, because I don't think it's entirely fair that they've effectively gotten away with this. Yes, they've been given a penalty, but not one that is able to undo the advantage that they were able to extract from this. So Famularo looks like he's bailing right now. Yes, he is, coming in to serve the drive-through penalty.
Obviously, Rui Hengye not needing to make the pass where he probably could have done if they were racing one another down through towards the bus stop. Rui Hengye just opting to remain out.
But this is not going to cost Famularo second place either.
No, it's not, no. Everett Stack 27 seconds behind. Of course, that will drop as Famularo just steadies his Dallara 324 and moves it through the pit lane. And then will venture back out again to rejoin the circuit. Rui Hengye, though, on his own, making his way out of Eau Rouge and Radion, now up through towards Kemmel. Twice over a race winner, looking for the treble. It's now Famularo. Also joins him out on track. And Everett Stack, in accordance to what we're seeing on screen, it does say 18.3, but I'd imagine that's come down a little bit more than that. It was a fastest lap of the race last time around as well for a Stack, 2:15.871.
Yes, it was. So great pace there from Stack, but it's yeah, not going to be enough to let him challenge Famularo. I think for the remaining 7.5 minutes of this race. Yeah, 5 seconds the gap to himself and Famularo. Well, we'll see actually if Famularo does end up losing the place to Stack. He's got great speed there at the moment. Remember, no penalties for the cars that came in after the safety car entered pit lane. And so that is, yeah, that's Stack, Della Torre, Trapper. It's our top rookie driver at the moment. Carrasquedo, Dobransky, Fiorentino, Castillo and Herrera, your top 10. Feldman looks like he's retiring from this one, actually. He's still in the pit lane, yeah. 2 laps down from the race leader. So a shame to see there for the Brazilian, but hopefully he'll get more shots later on in the season. There's Rui Hengye, still 20 seconds to the good over the rest of the field. And we'll join a very elite group of drivers to win all 3 races in a single weekend. But it'll be up to you lot to decide where that one stands.
Well, he's cruising up to the back of Ferrazzano at the moment, of Neri Autosport, who is still down in 13th place right now. Of course, they were celebrating a sensational result for them. Of course, we saw the reaction from Ferrazzano, achieving the P5 out on track. It was a marvellous race for them. Of course, a small team that are trying to work their way through with one driver, just trying to get the procedures right in order to perhaps then later grow in the near future. And you never know, we could see one car sprout into 2, maybe into 3. Obviously, we've seen BVM grow at a cracking rate over the last few years, especially this year now with 4 cars here at Spa. And even prior to that, moving into 3. Giuseppe Mazzotti, very passionate about his racing, has got a fabulous team around him, and obviously, quite rightly so, celebrated a Drivers' Championship win with Timek Kaharczyk last year, who has now since gone on to do great things in Indy Next, if you look back a week or so ago, where he won at Indianapolis for HMD Motorsport. Fiorentino has just moved past Dobransky as well, so that's rookie P2 and P7 overall. 2.3 seconds behind Carrasquedo,
who's just gone fastest in the first sector in 6th position. And this is closing up for second place. Everett Stack zooming up to the back of Familaro's car. After that drive-through penalty for the Venezuelan. Closing in, and another fastest lap of the race done by Stack last time around, 2:14.2.
Rui Hengyer also lighting up the middle sector as well.
It certainly is. It's nose to tail through the Fania chicane. We've seen Everett Stack make one lunge already in this race. Is he lining up another one here? Maybe not a lunge into the bus stop chicane. I imagine he'll have a run on him out of Curve Paul Fret. There is still rain in the air. I'm seeing drops here and there, so the circuit is not exactly drying. Going to go side by side here into Blanchimont. How compliant is Familaro? Very, because he withdraws the challenge by the time they turn into the left-hander, as Rui Hengyer now does the fastest lap of the race on a 2:14.0. But Everett Stack now up into second position.
Yeah, brilliant move for Stack. Obviously impressive considering the situation we've witnessed so far through the course of the race. Obviously boxed a little bit later for the slick tyres.
We'll be on to the penultimate lap of the race now, George, with 3.5 minutes left on the clock.
Absolutely. So not a lot he could do in reining in the time gap between him and Rui Hengyer at the moment, especially after Rui Hengyer posted a fastest lap not so long ago himself. Of course, that was nicked away by Carrasquedo, but he has put in a personal best inside the first sector. Stack over the last lap producing that purple final sector as well.
Yeah, it was Carrasquedo lapping very well at the moment as he closes in on Gino Trapper.
That's what I mean about his race pace. It is extraordinary,
yeah.
But it's just misfortune always plagues him so far. It's a real shame because he has all the potential in the world, really, to be a multi-time race winner this season.
That's very true. He has had a very unfortunate season, and just look at the scenario that's been thrown at him today.
I'm sure he's happy with the P3 that he had it, though he didn't look overly happy at the time.
Did he? No.
But you just know that he is so capable. I think if everything was to go right, and I said this to him. I said, I don't know what you've done or what mirror you've smashed, but you so deserve something this season, and surely. Victory and success is only just around the corner, but no one can stop the Rui Hengyer train at the moment.
Maybe Carrasquedo will arrive in Misano with all the crystals and lobbing all the salt over his shoulder with a rabbit's foot in his pocket.
I was going to say, get yourself a lucky rabbit's foot or something like that, just to kind of balance everything out.
He's got some bad juju, clearly.
Yeah, I think so. Everett Stack, purple in the middle sector as well, so still going to work despite obviously being 25.4 seconds behind. He is still trying to pump in the fast laps. Of course, Stack, who grew into the championship through the course of last year, eventually found himself fighting with the likes of Yevon David and Timek Kaharczyk. We allude again to that three-wide finish, which saw them all within, I think it was about 0.07 of a second between the top three, and it was obviously Yevon David and Kaharczyk that were 1,000th between one another. It was absolutely unbelievable. One of the greatest finishes in modern junior single-seater history, certainly here in the Euroformula Open, as the race is confirmed to be finishing by time. As you can see on your screen, folks, we are on the final lap.
Yes, so all three races will be 12 lappers rather than 13. Rui Hengyer about to put a lap on Aaron Ferrazzano. The Belgian in his home race. But a really bizarre one this afternoon. And we'll leave it up to the comments section to decide whether this one's been fair or not. But it is Rui Hengyer who will join Cameron Das, Ollie Goethe, Aoife Yates and Louis Foster as drivers who have won all three races in a single weekend. He makes his way through the Fania chicane, and it's clear that Rui Hengyer has been the benchmark driver in this championship so far. It was already 4 wins in 5 races for the Chinese Taipei driver going into this final encounter of the weekend. And so, regardless of where this result stands, where I'm looking, it's not going to affect the championship too terribly much, because it's really hard to look past this young gun at the moment, who's just been on absolutely top class form. It looks like Ferrazzano will get to complete the last lap, though. So Rui Hengye makes his way out of the final corner, and it's victory in all 3 races at Spa-Francorchamps for Rui Hengye, and joins a very elite group of drivers to do so. It'll be a long, long, long wait for Everett Stack. Rui Hengye will probably make his way down pit lane and into Parc Fermé by the time Everett Stack even gets to the checkered flag, because it's 26 seconds or so that the American lingers behind, and now eventually over the line to take another podium finish, his 3rd of the season and his 1st of the weekend as well. And Alessandro Farala, no, he will not. Gino Trapper on the final lap of the race makes his way past Famularo. So not only does the Argentinian take the top rookie honours, but he puts DriveX on the overall podium as well in that 48 car. Engine off, steering wheel off for Rui Hengye. Look at the laptop already being plugged in, downloading the data for the GT Sports officials. Oh, didn't leave it in gear. That little roll there, but yeah, the wheel back on, and it was the stoic result. And yet, win number 3 this weekend, win number 5 out of 6 in 2026.
Brilliant stuff for Rui Hengye, despite obviously the systems or the systematic movements going on at the start of the race. He of course took victories in race 1 and race 2. You cannot question his raw talent and ability. 2 race wins back at Portimao, bring it to number 5. Everett Stack hopping out of the car, great effort from him to catch up with Famularo, getting the key move done for 2nd place. So he returns to the podium once more to yet another finish in P2, and hasn't actually achieved that since race 1. And celebrations at DriveX. Congratulations to Trapper, getting it done right at the very end.
We just saw a glimpse there as Everett Stack was getting out of the car of young Alex de Scheper, former employee of the GT Sport organisation and Fun Cup racer and Belcar racer as well. Here are the results from race 3. 3 out of 3 for Rui Hengye at Spa-Francorchamps in 2026. And it was 26.4 the advantage in the end over Everett Stack, who takes his 1st podium of the weekend, his 3rd of the season. And Gino Trapper putting DriveX on the podium for the 1st time in a very long time for the Spanish outfit in the 48 group. Alessandro Famularo losing out on the final lap of the race, but beating Diego Della Torre and Jesse Carrasquido. The top 3 in the rookie class completed by Filippo Fiorentino and Victor Dobransky, with Javier Herrera and Lorenzo Castillo completing the top 10. Divi Nandan, Jan Koller and Aaron Ferrazzano, the last cars over the line. We lost Alco Feldman to a mechanical issue, we can assume. Rui Hengye now with nearly 2 wins worth of points advantage over Diego Della Torre in the championship. 49 points his lead. Famularo 64 points back in 3rd position. Everett Stack still in 4th. And it looks like Rui Hengye is standing by with Alfredo. We'll hear from him shortly. Gino Trapper puts DriveX onto the podium in 3rd position with a last lap move on Alessandro Famularo. Everett Stack takes his 3rd podium of the season in the Team Motorsport number 9 car, finishing in 2nd place. But the winner for the 3rd time in 3 races at Spa-Francorchamps, Rui Hengye. He's with Alfredo.
And so, yeah, it was a messy race, to say the least. But the important thing is hat trick. 3 wins out of 3 races here at Spa-Francorchamps in these conditions. This is something.
Yes. For me, that was the amazing week for me. I got pole through win, for sure. It's perfect. And also I win in the legend track, so yeah, for me it was a good week.
The race was hectic, and then there was this very early stop to change tires. That was the good decision.
And yeah, because in the outlet and formation lap, I just feel the track was quite dry. So I'm PA, so right now we change the tires to take a risk.
And it worked,
Yeah,
despite the sanction.
thank you.
Good, well done. Enjoy the moment.
Thank you, mate.
Let's look back on what's probably the most bizarre Euroformula race in a very long time. Javier Herrera ended up leading on the safety car restart after many other drivers decided they wanted to come in for slick tyres after the safety car start. So not so many actually on the racetrack when we went green, because they were all coming in for the slick tyre. Divi Nandam was one of those drivers, as Alessandro Famularo, who came into the pits too early, along with Rui Hengye, but making his way through the field on much better slick tyres against some of those guys who stayed out on wets. A moment for Alco Feldman while running in the podium places, his BVM car going round at Puon. He ended up retiring from the race. Everett Stack leading Diego Della Torre and Victor Dobransky as he made his way towards the podium places. Stack charging his way through the Virginian driver with, first of all, this lunge on Gino Trapper into the Fania chicane. That was to put him up into third position. Lovely move from the American. As Rui Hengye served his drive-through penalty for coming into the pits too early to change those tyres, as did Alessandro Famularo. For Famularo, it was costly because it put him into the clutches of Everett Stack, who charged his way through with this move into Blanchimont to take second place. Rui Hengye too far up the field, and he joins a very elite group of drivers to win all 3 races in one weekend. And so to the podium we go now. It's Gino Trapper for the first time in the Euroformula Open Championship in only his second race weekend. He had a wild card in Paul Ricard last year with the Nilsson Racing squad. He's up there with Everett Stack and Rui Hengye. And here's the Chinese Taipei anthem.
Maintenant la remise des trophées, the trophy presentation.
So a bizarre race, a somewhat damp note to end on, but I mean, it's been an incredible week for Rui Hengye. Absolutely unstoppable, it seems, in the Euroformula Open Championship.
Well, I mean, you look at the first 2 wins that he took this weekend. Obviously, they were categorically fantastic, you know, performances from start to finish. And quintessentially, he took advantage of a situation, really, in this particular race. And I suppose in certain avenues, if you're a professional driver, that's exactly what you've got to do, I suppose. But naturally, always question marks will be raised. It's controversial. Of course it is. That's what we witness from time to time in professional sport. But nonetheless, the championship is very much in line for this young man, and you never know, he could break Felipe Dragovic's record.
Yes, he could well do. I have a feeling we are witnessing a slightly record-breaking year. So as the season goes on, we'll keep an eye out on those records for wins, podiums, and points as well. He's already making history in the Euroformula Open Championship. Everett Stack going all the way over to the Motorpark representative to spray the champagne. But that's all from the Euroformula Open Championship here at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. We're back in 3 weeks' time on the 6th of June at a brand new circuit at Misano. And we'll have the rookie podium next, and that will be a DriveX 1-2 there with Gino Trapper ahead of Filippo Fiorentino.
Second visit to the podium for Gennaro Trapper straight away.
Yes, it is.
After managing to overtake Famularo right at the very death. But he'll be standing on the top step for this one, with Fiorentino bringing it home as well for DriveX. This is a fantastic return for them. First time since 2022. Of course, it was my first season commentating the Euroformula Open Championship. I can't believe it's been 6 years.
That's what. Hopefully, this will encourage DriveX
Not 6 years, 4 or 5 years.
It's been a long day, George.
I'm aging myself.
But hopefully, this will encourage DriveX to do more than just a few wild cards as they're going to do this season. Be great to have them back for a full campaign. Of course, we know where their current priorities lie, but it'd be nice if we could change their minds about that. And other teams as well, because Euroformula Open Championship has an awful lot to offer these young drivers. So the celebrations on the rookie podium will commence shortly. Victor Dobransky still going very well in that championship. He picked up another podium there after what was a very strong weekend in Portimao. But as I say, we'll be back in 3 weeks' time in Misano on the 6th of June.